Hey guys, how you doing? Josh again from Smith Boys Racing. For anyone that's new to the channel, we put a channel up. Just sitting in the shed on a Sunday night, a few days off, just sitting around working on the SBR, abbreviation for Smith Boys Racing. SBR junior sidecar, we're knocking together with the young fella. For anyone that doesn't know us, we're just a small budget team. Just do a bit of local racing down in North Brisbane predominantly. Don't get away very often, just due to budget constraints. So the whole idea of getting back into racing, kicked around, did it a while ago, got a bit serious, threw a lot of money at it, without very good results. So this time it's just a bit of an apprenticeship for the young fella, my crew chief, my son Joel. So this is what we're working on. Just wanted to sort of have a chat about the build, about the reason we chose the motor, how we got there, what we're sort of doing, the direction we're going to go in. What I did, started to think about it, what people are running. I wanted a budget sidecar. I put together a budget of $8,000. I thought, sort of like trail bike money. Why is it 65 sort of money? So $8,000 is my budget. Still is my budget. Haven't blown it yet. So we went out. We sourced a YZF 250 2002 trail bike. Bought a complete bike, gave it to my son. Said strip it down. So he's 10, was 9 at the time. Gave him the spinners, gave him the toolbox. He ripped the motor out, stripped the bike down. We put it in a box. So we're going to use the radiator, CDI ignition, like CDI. Rebuild the motor. We will. It ran well. We rode the trail bike. Weighed the motor 23 kilos. Sort of power they're putting out, it's 49 horsepower, about 18 newton meters of torque. So pretty respectable for a little motor that weighs 23 kilos. 23 kilo motor, so pretty impressive. Once it's rebuilt, roller bearing bottom end, brand new crank, new rod, new cam chain, pretty much all new internals except the cases. So that's the reason we chose it. Plus it was cheap, $2,000 we bought the bike for. We're going to use the radiator, we're going to use a standard radiator, we're going to run the standard exhaust, just cut and bend it, standard muffler. Took the fuel tap even out of it, so we'll just put a little gravity fed fuel tank up the top here between the frame. So from there, bought the bike, had the budget, got the dollars set aside. Another reason, we'll go to the junior sidecar for him after he completes his apprenticeship, his pit crew, and then progresses into, once he comes of age, he'll step on the junior, which should be sort of this year. 11, 12, I think it is. Don't quote me on that, I'd have to double check that. But we started kicked around the design. So I've got, fortunate enough to have got Tyler Moon's old Honda. So I've gone over it with the inclinometer and a cardboard protractor. I've measured the whole bike out, just drawn it up. Fortunate enough to have the skills and as a fitter and turner, you possess these sort of sketching, you sort of learn all this stuff, sort of good skill to have as well. Some fabrication skills behind you as well. Drew the whole senior, then it was a matter of shrinking it down. So we looked at the rule, compared the rules, MQMA rules between the junior and the senior. The rules sort of fell in, we could get away with about 85 to 90% of a senior. That means that we can run an 18-inch wheel, sidecar wheel, we can run an 18-inch front wheel, we can run the standard fairings, the senior fairings, cut down, run the 19-inch spare wheel out of my bike because I don't actually have a wheel. Once we draw it all out, we had the design, kicked around a few designs, drew up a bit of a frame that would work. Then it was just dimensioning it, taking all the dimensions from the senior, all the angles from the senior, shrink it all down to 85 to 90% it works, 90% you can get away with on a view. One rule we did run into an issue with was the overall length, which I've spoken at MA about putting a submission in to increase the length because it's unachievable, it's not realistic. Everything else was sweet. Once we got that far, we had a design to go off. Reached out to Timmy Lawrence from TLR. We purchased the wheels we had behind me. Very reasonable price, $500 a wheel. Awesome quality for what you get. We got it through a box. He hooked us up. Triple tree said the 4.5 inch center line. Chromoly axles. Hooked us up. Very, very reasonable. Couple $1,000 for all the wheels, axles, stub axle, centric stub axle, tensioners, clamps. Reached out to Icon. He hooked us up with, this is a set, same R&D that the seniors are running, but they're 325mm, so they're just a little bit shorter. Peter came up, I think just adjusted the dampener in the shock absorbers, so they're pretty much the same as a senior would be running, just not the 335s or 330s. So it'll be a little bit shorter. The height we kept the same, but we just shortened it and narrowed it up, but the height will all remain the same so that we don't have to trim the front nose cone or anything. Everything else will work out really well. From there, got onto Race Tech Steel. Ordered the steel. Steel came together all up. It was about $1,700. 4130 chromoly tubing, 5/16 plate. We went, so 5/16 plate, went 5/32. Chromoly normalised 4130 plate. 3mm steering head. We went thicker on the steering head so that we could machine it out. I say we, I did. I won't take all the credit. A lot of people sort of help behind the scenes. Machine this out, so we still got 2mm here around the bearing. Once we took out 0.7 of a millimetre, we machined that out in the lathe to fit up the 6204 bearings. Got them fit out. I've cooked these ones, so they'll be replaced. All 4mm engine mounts. We got some 3mm down there as well. That's just for like floor stuff as well. They hooked us up with also ER70S S2 filler wire. Chromoly, bit of 7/8 chromoly tube. I've turned solid bar. I've turned down for just engine spaces and stuff around the frame. There's the 3mm plate for the gussets rather than putting the tube in and triangulating the steering head. I want a bit more weld contact area on the steering head, so I like this gusseted steering head. I like that idea. It's never going to go anywhere. So it's 4130, same size tube as the senior would run, 1.25 inch. This whole section here and the main beam, this is all 83 thou, so 2.1mm. This here, we don't really want to touch it ever again. My sort of thinking behind it, the theory behind it is I can go the thinner stuff, save some weight on all the external kneeling trays, handrails. If they bend it, prang it, we'll just cut out and put another one in. Too easy, but we don't want to change any of this. The diamond we don't want to touch. So that's all 2.1mm, the fork legs and the horseshoe bar, all 83 thou. Look, so the budget, we're still on track. Got on the side carnage. Spoke to him about some bearings as well. They're a senior kit, so it'll just be a pretty basic fiberglass kit, nice and light. He'll hook us up with those, so we'll stay on budget. That's pretty much all that's left to get. As a fitter and turner, I do have access to a lathe. It's what you'll need if you're ever going to look at buying any of this. I've got a few tools around as well. We get a notch master. Had everything else. That was pretty much the only expense in the way of tools I needed. A couple of dies. Some might be into it for a couple of $1,000 there in tools, but we can't really put that into the price of the build itself. I'll have those for a lifetime. And they'll go to the kids anyway. So they're an investment. Have access to a mill as well, but all these plates I just did by hand, just with a file, just a second cut file, just drilled them out, just on a basic, $600 drill press. Drilled out as much as I could, hole saw 50mm to fit the beam. As you can see, the fit up of these, just done by hand. Very nice. I like it. Just a scribe line in the file. That's all you need. Don't need any fancy mill or anything. You don't need to go to absorbent amounts of expense. I don't linish any of the tubing. I just got some Bunnings Flexivert paper. Whenever I'm about to do a weld around a notch, just a bit of sandpaper just to clean up the steel, which I'm in the process of doing now before we edge prime the whole frame. Speaking of the direction we're going to go with painting, I'm going to go painting on this one. Bunnings edge primer and some hammer tone paint. The reason being, it's cheaper, won't blow the budget. As I said, $8,000. Need to stick to that. But also for the reason that if I ever want to weld again, they have a prang or something, we're not going to worry about powder coating. It'll just be a matter of buying another $15 can, touch it up and go again. It's a kid's progression bike, it's a step up really before seniors, so there's no reason to go mortgage your house again. And so that's sort of where we're up to now. It's all welded out. I just got to do some floor plates. We're going to be painting it tomorrow. I'll fit some new bearings up. Be on to a fuel tank and some floors. Work-wise, it's as much work, same quality as a senior. There's no real shortcuts with them. It's just as much work as a senior. Cost-wise, we're not looking at $30,000. Save as much money as we can where we can, and get the best results, that we can. Sort of with what we have, and just get it on the track, make up some numbers, and try and get some juniors running. So anyway, guys, I'll keep sanding, get some primer on this tomorrow, and if you like it, if the response is well received, I might do just a couple little maintenance videos as well. Few tricks I've learned over the years. That I wouldn't mind sharing with some people. Might pick up something, might learn something, could share. Always an easy way to do it. A lot of ways to skin a cat, but it's just finding out what works best for you. And I've got a few little tips I'm happy to share. So anyway, I'll keep on with this. You all have a good night, and cheers for watching. See you later.